We did to call off their protest for tomorrow.
On the verge of another industrial action, Nigerians with bated breath for NLC final stance. The small groups appeal for continued dialogue. Our correspondent is on standby with the latest. Day 2 of ministerial nominee screening. El Rufai, Umahi and 7 others seek to clinch lawmakers' nod of approval.
It's a beginning of a lot more mutually beneficial, country-to-country relationship, and it's very commendable.
Nigeria and the Republic of Benin seek closer ties with both West African countries, hoping to leverage youth vibrancy and innovativeness for growth. Hello and welcome to the Network News. I am Olajide Bello. Joining me from Lagos is Adeola Komiakiri. And remember, you can watch these news live on our website www.nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen. Now let's start with the fallout of President Tinubu's broadcast. As is to be expected, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's message to Nigerians and planned palliatives to ease the hardship being felt by the people from the fuel subsidy removal is still generating reactions across the country. The president has, in a nationwide broadcast last night, ruled out several economic measures to arrest and reverse the foundational issues of anger and hunger, which have trailed the end of the fuel subsidy regime in Nigeria. A quick reminder of some of the major highlights of the president's address include a 75 billion naira initiative to fund enterprises at 9% per annum, maximum of 60 months repayment for long-term loans and 12 months for working capital. 125 billion naira to energize MSMEs and the approval for a release of 200 metric tons of grains to households across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. There are also other measures such as the release of 50 billion naira each to cultivate 150,000 hectares of rice and maize, not forgetting the 100 billion naira to acquire 3,000 units of 20-seater CNG-fueled buses, as well as the plan for a new minimum wage and general upward review. And Ni Akinshiju, who is supposed to join us, will be joining us later in the course of the bulletin. Now, seemingly unmoved by the president's broadcast and unfazed by ongoing negotiations with the federal government, the Nigerian Labour Congress is on the verge of commencing its planned nationwide protest from tomorrow, Wednesday, August 2nd. Meanwhile, the federal government is appealing to the organized labor to shun the planned nationwide protest. The plea is coming after representatives of the federal government, led by the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, met with labor unions at the State House. Joseph Otsen reports.
Across the country, Nigerians await the outcome of this particular meeting between the representatives of the federal government and leadership of labor unions. After hours of engagement, the government calls for understanding that the mechanism put in place so far, as contained in the president's broadcast, are just starting point for bigger things ahead.
And we appeal to labor. We did appeal to labor to call off their protest for tomorrow. We found listening ears here, and they did agree that they all accepted that Mr. President's broadcast was a welcome development, and that they'll go back home to talk to the other leaders that are not present today. So we're hopeful that they will do the right thing and call off the strike tomorrow.
But organized labor is insisting the measures are not sufficient enough and wants more commitment.
In the process, we think, for example, that 3,000 buses are not sufficient. We think it's not sufficient. By the time you divide 3,000 by 37, you could see how many they could come up to. So it's not sufficient, grossly inadequate. If we think 30,000 buses could do it, 40,000 buses could do it in the immediate, yes, we'll push it forward. But what we have been advocating for on the part of labor is wage award that doesn't have much bureaucracies, that doesn't have much, you don't have enough issues around the law, because the law that prescribes minimum wage said 5 years. Until you are made that, no other thing can kick in.
Though the labor leaders say they will consult with their members on government stance, nothing changes on the nationwide strike. In Abuja, Joseph Utsen, NTA News.
And in the meantime, the Solicitor General of the Federation and Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Justice, Beatrice Jedi Abba, has asked the NLC to shelve its planned industrial action and maintain status quo pending the resolution of an ongoing legal suit. In a statement, the Justice said it was a settled principle of law that all parties in a dispute before the National Industrial Court of Nigeria maintain status quo and not resort to self-help. She noted that while it was the NLC's right to demand for better workers' welfare, it would be in the best interest of all to allow the court fully decide on the labor-related matters as they relate to this case and allow government to provide palliatives for Nigerians. In a related development, Director General of Voice of Nigeria, Von Osita Okechukwu, has enjoined the leadership of labor unions to shelve all plans for strike action, urging the labor leaders to support President Bola Tinubu's reform to bail all Nigerians from the economic stronghold of 1% class of deep pockets. The DG of Von says President Tinubu needs to unbundle the economy from the hands of rent takers, and labor leaders should rather embrace dialogue and consider the future of this great nation. Similarly, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has expressed deep concerns over security lapses likely to be created by the planned and nationwide protest by the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress. While being mindful of the right to peaceful protest as enshrined in the Constitution, the acting IGP urges all parties involved to ensure that the planned demonstrations are conducted in a peaceful manner to prevent being hijacked by miscreants owing to the previous ugly experiences of such protests in most major cosmopolitan cities in the country. The acting IGP, however, stresses that any attempt by miscreants to exploit the situation for violent purposes will be met with firm professional and commensurate lawful approval. Now, while being mindful of rights to protest, Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was an historic special guest of honor at the Republic of Benin, celebrated her 63rd independence anniversary with a colorful ceremony today. State House correspondent Musbaut and Wahab reports.
President Bola Tinubu was one of the august guests at this August 1 anniversary of one of Nigeria's immediate neighbors. For this special day, a wild celebration was queued, not just for the success for self-determination after many years of spirited effort under their French masters, or for being the first African country to move from a dictatorship rule to a military democracy since the 1990s, but also for 63 years of togetherness. And those working for the national unity had their time, and colorfully so. A non-speech-making day, but the long chain of parade spoke volumes. The paramilitary and police thrilled the spectators. And it got to a crescendo with the turns of the armed forces formations of Army, Navy, Air Force and the National Guards.
I'm very proud with the effort of the government to equip our first army to be strong and to defend our country.
To see all those army's forces, all those vehicles, the equipment, very proud to have the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria as a first guest, yes.
And then a moment of honor for the special guest.
Very impressive parade ceremony And we feel very honored that they invited our president and all of the neighboring states with Benin Republic. I think it's a beginning of a lot more mutually beneficial, country-to-country relationship, and it's very commendable.
It's very inspiring, and that we are honored as a country to be part of this great occasion.
We have quite a bit to learn also, even though they are smaller than us, but we have few things to take back home.
We're a regular frequent visitor here, and I've seen tremendous progress over the years. Congratulations to the people of the Republic of Benin. Congratulations to Africa. This is a good job. Well done, President Talon.
Regarded as one of the oldest empires on the continent, the country got its independence 2 months ahead of Nigeria as then Republic of Dahomey, its name until 1975. From Cotonou, Musbal and Wahab, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria and the Republic of Benin have expressed the need to widen and strengthen bilateral cooperation and collaborations. President Bola Tinubu harped on this after attending the 63rd independence anniversary of the Republic of Benin. The Nigerian leader believes the youthful population of both countries present great potential for both countries to leverage and improve their social and economic collaborations.
Benin Republic and Nigeria are co-joined twins to have economic collaboration and cooperation and ensure stability in Africa, contribute positively to the development of Africa. It's our responsibility. We have a very young population, and young history of democracy. Yes, from time to time, we will be challenged, but it is our responsibility to collaborate both politically and economically in order to promote peace and stability in our continent. It's a shared responsibility.
The host President Patrice Talon said the historic invitation of having another leader at the country's independence celebration was to show high respect for President Tinubu following his track record of providing leadership in Nigeria and the West Coast. President Bola Tinubu is now back in Nigeria. How to fix Nigeria's economy and addressing the challenges in the power sector were the dominant questions while the senators as the screening of the ministerial nominees continue in the second day. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
When two of the economic experts on the list of ministerial nominees took the podium for screening, senators directed questions on the state of the economy, in particular the monetary and fiscal policies, and how the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu intends to make a turnaround for efficiency and positive impact. There was reassurance that economic reforms implementation, which commenced in the last 2 months, are restoring confidence.
For a country that has revenue flows from oil revenues, from remittances, from other non-oil exports, there is no reason that there should not be a stable exchange rate.
In the minds of some people, they believe that the Fed Central Bank is running a government within a government. The policy of changing currency in 2 weeks to election.
The economic management team of the country, of the nation, must have some subtle oversight in terms of interrogating a lot of decisions of Central Bank of Nigeria.
The decades-old challenge of generation, transmission and distribution in the power sector dominated the screening engagements with the immediate past governor of Kaduna State. He said despite the privatization of the power sector, it has consumed more than 1.6 trillion naira from the public purse. Government, he says, is open to all options to tackle the issue.
Utilizing solar, wind, and even nuclear. And we are not ruling out using our coal reserves to establish power stations that will constitute the base load for the stability of the power system.
Other nominees screened Tuesday include Uche Naji of Enugu State, Stella Erwogane from Delta State, and Ahmed Dengiwa, who gave insights on how to tackle the housing deficit in Nigeria. The Deputy Senate Leader, David Umahi, Ekperikpe Ekpo, and Hannatu Musawa, who became emotional in the course of her presentation, were accorded the honor of taking the bow. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
For an update of the Lagos helicopter crash, 4 persons earlier today escaped death by a whisker when a helicopter on test flights crashed into a building at Obakran area of Lagos. Michael Olale has an update on the crash-landed helicopter.
The single-engine fixed-wing Jabiru aircraft with registration number 5NCCQ was on a test flight when it crash-landed on the ever-busy Oba Akran area of Lagos. 2 passengers were on board with crew members, but were rescued alive, after which the light aircraft burst into flames. Emergency responders have safely removed the debris from the road, which is now free for vehicular movement. The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has visited the scene of the crash to ascertain the level of the accident, promising the readiness of government to promoting safety of the citizenry. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, NSIB, has commenced investigation with the aim of identifying immediate cause and providing safety recommendations. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
And for more updates on the helicopter crash, Lanre Bilei is standing by. Lanre. Now, Larry, can you keep us up to speed with...
yes, let's start with the good news first. No fatalities. The 2 persons that are on board the aircraft are safe. They are receiving treatment as we talk. And immediately I came here to do a stand-up and do a live. The people around came around to tell me what is going on. I have people here. I have a security officer that released the CCTV that captured how the plane went down. Mr. Babatunde, could you please come there? I want you to just tell me how it happened. You are one of the people that first came to the scene with your fire extinguisher. What happened?
Really, what really happened then is that I'm a Babatunde security at this our company nearby where the accident happened. So I was there somehow that is 15 hours. So when that thing happened, I was in front of my CCTV camera watching. So immediately I saw that thing happen, I captured that area. So when I captured the area, so before then I know people just be coming out for rescue. So then I now called
You told me before that you are one of the first person to come to the scene.
Yes, that is why I say people. Now I was in front of my CCTV camera. Then the incident happened. So it's there I capture everything before releasing it to people that was transferring him to internet.
I know I've delayed you, Mr. Babatunde. He's going on when I stopped him. I have a lot of eyewitnesses here with me. And let me move away from the camera so that you can see the scene of the accident. It was a small propeller aircraft that crash landed here. There are 2 persons on board. The report I gathered is that they are doing a test run when something went awry inside the airplane. And it crash landed here at Oba Akra Avenue. And thanks to the people around that went to the scene and rescued the people inside the plane. So, can I call another person? Mr. Duncan, please come around. You are one of the people that put the fire extinguisher on the airplane. Can you please explain it?
I think that's the much we'll be able to take from you, Larry. Many thanks for keeping us up to speed. You're watching the NTA Network News. Still to come.
summarizing all the evidence we tendered before the court. You saw all the witnesses we called, all the exhibits we tendered.
The Ministerial Election Court reserves judgment on Article's case against Tinubu. Glad to know you're still there. That with the Judiciary, the Presidential Election Petition Court has reserved judgment on the petition filed by Atiku Abubakar and the People's Democratic Party, challenging the declaration and return of President Bola Tinubu to a later date. The five-man panel of justices headed by Justice Haruna Simon Samanis gave the order after the adoption of final written addresses by all the parties in the petition. Delia Atumbi of our Judiciary Desk reports.
In this petition, Atiku Abubakar and the People's Democratic Party are the petitioners, while the Independent National Electoral Commission, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the All Progressives Congress are the respondents. Adopting his final written address, Counsel to INEC Abubakar Mahmood SAN appealed to the Presidential Election Petition Court to dismiss the petition as the petitioners failed to discharge the burden placed upon them by law in their petition. Adopting the final written address of the second respondent, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his counsel Wole Olanipekun SAN differentiated between transmission and uploading of results, saying that while transmission of the results is the natural outcome of the collation, uploading of same or not cannot alter the results. Olanipekun SAN asserted that the PDP's line of arguments showed that the petitioners have abandoned their petition as they have not shown how many votes their candidate Atiku Abubakar scored, describing the petitioners as meddlesome interlopers. Counsel to the APC, Lateef Fagbemi SAN, said the petitioners failed to prove the issue of alleged dual citizenship against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Fagbemi SAN urged the court to dismiss the petition. In his response to the assertions of the respondents, Chris Uche SAN urged the court to grant the reliefs of the petitioners. Chris Uche SAN said the petitioners approved the allegations on the conduct of the February 25, 2023 presidential election.
We all adopted our final written addresses, which are our final submissions in this case, summarizing all the evidence we tendered before the court. You saw all the witnesses we called, all the exhibits we tendered.
Counsel to the respondents declined comments. The Presidential Election Petition Court has reserved judgments on the plenary objections and the main petition to a later date. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
And meanwhile, experts in social development have identified the cooperation and support by the society as an essential tool for achieving effective service delivery in the justice sector. Arising from this, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, is advocating a collaborative approach towards ensuring that justice is served to all and sundry. Olabode Arewa reports.
Right from his assumption of office as Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola's mantra to all judicial officers and their support staff has been that they should uphold the tenets of probity, hard work and efficiency in the discharge of their duties. This message was re-echoed by the administrator of the National Judicial Institute when he addressed court registrars, bailiffs and commissioners of votes at a capacity building workshop on court services in Abuja.
As the need for improvement in terms of transparency, productivity and efficiency in judicial dynamic, as such our efforts in this regard must continue to work in progress if we must attain the best global practices. As officers in charge of day-to-day activities in our courts, your attitude and conduct towards court users must be that of courtesy and accountability.
Chinedu Williams Achebe is one of the participants at the workshop.
We come here to update ourselves, both in processes and other things that has to do with the judiciary.
A mini silence was held in honor of Justice Santos Chimanweze of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, who passed on this Monday. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Now talking health, the House of Representatives Committee on HIV/AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria has pledged to work with key players in the health sector to stem the prevalence of fake malaria drugs across Nigeria. Chairman of the committee, Amobi Oga, at a briefing in Abuja, observed that substandard drugs are contributing to death from malaria in the country. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikben tells us more.
World Health Organization statistics show that 4 African countries account for more than half of all malaria deaths worldwide. Nigeria tops this list of malaria mortality rates, followed by the Democratic Republic of Congo. The newly constituted House Committee on HIV/AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria believes that mitigating circulation of fake malaria drugs through stronger legislation will go a long way.
The prevalence of fake malaria drugs will be looked into to avoid further deaths recorded. We will carry out our oversight function to ascertain the role of primary health care in the rollback malaria program.
Meanwhile, the House Ad Hoc Committee investigating recent hike in petrol pump price is urging key players in the oil and gas sector not to inflict further hardship on Nigerians.
Nigerians need to understand the rationale behind this action, but beyond that, they need to be assured that this price hike will not have more devastating effect on their livelihoods.
These tanker drivers have constituted themselves into another thing, a situation where you load your product, you have paid, they will tell you to pay them additional money, ranging from 50 to 100,000 naira per truck. And all this thing will also get into this pricing hiking.
Ipman at the sitting advocated energy transition to use of compressed natural gas as a panacea to frequent hike in price of petrol. From the National Assembly, Mitari Ikben, NTA News.
And away from health matters, the Managing Director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, Samuel Ogweku, has expressed willingness of the Commission to partner youth of the region to ensure that the existing peace in the region is sustained to attract investors. Ogweku gave the assurance when he received leaders of the Niger Delta ex-agitators at the Commission's headquarters in Port Harcourt. Jenny Barsi reports.
Leaders and members of ex-agitators of the Niger Delta Amnesty Program came to pledge their support to the Managing Director NDDC and his team. Receiving the delegation, DMD NDDC Samuel Ogweku commended the ex-agitators for playing their role as critical stakeholders in the region, noting that peace in the Niger Delta is critical to attracting continuous investment, employment, and development in the area.
Today in the Niger Delta, our youth complain about jobs. Sometimes no matter what we do here, these jobs will not just come from the sky. Jobs can only come through proper investments.
The Niger Delta region, we felt it is wise and expedient for us to come and synergize with the NDDC board to see how we can bring relief to our people.
The aim of the meeting is to discuss partnership opportunities to drive sustainable development in the Niger Delta. In Port Harcourt, Jenny Passy, NTA News.
The airlift of 298 pilgrims from Kaduna State, one from Bauchi State, and 16 officials from the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria brings to an end inbound flights of Nigerian Muslims to this year's Hajj, 4 days ahead of the original date, August 3rd. In a statement, Deputy Director Information and Publications, National Hajj Commissions, says the Commission confirms the second phase of the operation began on 4th of July 2023 after the completion of the Hajj rites with the airlift of Sokoto State pilgrims, even though not without eliciting doubts on account of non-provisions of slots to the Nigerian carriers by the Southeast General Authority on Civil Aviation. But following the intervention of the Nigerian ambassador to Saudi Arabia, it has been a smooth sailing. The 183rd shuttle flight brings to an end the 2023 Hajj operations. Now let's join Adiola in Lagos for happenings from that zone. Adiola, it's over to you.
Thank you, Olajide. Responding to reported cases of anthrax in livestock in Lagos, the federal government has activated preventive measures in curtailing further spread. Apart from heightening sensitization, 50,000 anthrax vaccine have been given to Lagos State to support its animal disease management strategy. Michael Olaleye reports.
Apprehensions since 6 cases of anthrax was reported in Lagos, and considering the indispensability of the state to mobility and trade in the country, an urgent intervention is necessary. This government-owned abattoir in Okwoba area of Lagos is the destination for more than 200 trucks conveying livestock daily. And in order to avoid the complexity associated with recording an anthrax case here, the entire market has been placed on red alert, with traders sending out warnings to sources.
The doctors come and lecture us how we will know this cattle have anthrax disease through air, through nose, through mouth. We call all our merchants, we call all our dealers. We told them this is what is happening in the country. So everybody should take care.
The Federal Minister of Agriculture is intensifying sensitization, backing up its initiative with vaccination.
It is not all animals that will show the classical, clinical signs of the disease. So every sudden death, we want them to report. Then the veterinary authority will take care of the remaining.
We also have a number of actions to make in terms of controlling animal movements.
The ambience here is that of precautions, especially on the need to increase personnel in order to scale up testing.
There is also a plan to do some posters that will be spread around with some description, minor things you need to know when you see such an animal or you see such an outbreak.
Lagos is the third state with reported cases of anthrax after Niger and Plateau, and the affected animals have since been confiscated, burnt and buried. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Financial and banking sectors stakeholders are deepening conversations on how to unlock the full potential of technology in advancing the takaful model and Islamic finance in Africa, while addressing the specific challenges and opportunities it presents. This is the focus of the inaugural Africa Takaful and Non-Interest Finance Conference holding in Lagos. Lynn Leneke reports that the 2-day conference is organized by No Takaful Insurance Limited.
Africa is considered home to a significant Muslim population, estimated at over 250 million people. Despite this large population, the market reach of Islamic finance remains relatively low. This conference, therefore, is to address this anomaly by increasing awareness, rapidly expanding the market to provide opportunity for customers using technology to enhance efficiency of the takaful model.
Our decision to organize an annual conference underscores our commitment to deepen what is a nascent industry and thereby resolve long-standing socio-economic contradictions on our continent, most notably the fact of mass poverty.
Creating an ecosystem for knowledge exchange while analyzing regulatory frameworks and policy recommendations to support the growth of takaful and Islamic finance initiatives in Africa also dominated discussions.
We can have the Islamic finance regulators come together as a committee and basically work on how they can improve the regulation.
You can monitor the activities of the industry, and you can allow customers to also learn by the use of technology.
The product, which operates with Sharia principles, is also built on equity, fairness, and foster social prosperity.
As a participant in a takaful policy or plan, you get better treatment. You get faster claims payments. More importantly, you also get surplus when you don't make a claim at the end of your policy year.
Speakers also unanimously agreed that increased commitments from stakeholders will support the growth of takaful and Islamic finance advancement in Africa. In Lagos, Lane Lenake, NTA News.
Do not forget that you can still follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. The network news will continue after this timeout. Just stay with us.
Glad to know you're still there. Now let's join Benny Adams, who is standing by with business news. Benny.
Thank you, Olajide, and welcome to business. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says the present administration has saved more than 1 trillion naira in just 2 months of implementing the fuel subsidy removal policy and promises to use part of the proceeds to alleviate economic hardship being experienced. And as the interventions are being rolled out, some Nigerians speak on the way to go.
I want to see an industry owned by government that will create employment.
Is to create a structure for employment, for self-employment. Because we don't say anybody should carry a certificate to go to any government office to look for a job. There's no more white-collar job anymore in the whole world.
And I strongly believe the man Tinubu has good intention and he will do well. That is my belief, and I'm very sure he's not going to let me.
While that hope is being kept alive, let's look at the equities market where it started a new month of August on a negative note as investors continue to react to half-year financials released by some companies, and most of them tilting towards poor earnings. At the end of today's trading session, a total of 762 million shares in 7,935 deals, corresponding to a market value of 7.7 billion naira, were traded. Compared with previous trading day, which was Monday, today's data shows 13% improvement in volume, 19% improvement in turnover, but 19% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 34.9 trillion naira. ICO Insurance recorded the highest volume of 315 million traded shares, followed by United Bank for Africa with 54.5 million, and Asa Mansard Insurance 48.8 million shares. Well, that is business news. Network news continues with Olajide. Olajide, you can take it from here.
Many thanks, Benny. And moving on to agriculture now. More than a month, and many parts of Borno State have experienced cessation of rainfall, raising concerns by farming communities about prospects for good yield that will sustain their livelihoods and ensure food security. The farmers are equally worried about limited farming space and limited agrochemicals. K. Gama Mustafa reports.
Rainy season started well for farmers in Borno. After many had planted their crops, others cultivating, land nature took its course with the cessation of rainfall in many areas. This necessitated a call by the Chief of Borno for his people to seek divine intervention through special prayers for rain. While the issue of rainfall shortage is gradually giving way, farmers remain courageous in the face of challenges they are facing this season. Farmers describe lack of agrochemicals and fertilizer, as well as access to farmlands due to security concerns, as other key areas affecting their ability to enhance livelihood through increased yields.
Some of us are still civil servants, but we are still coming to the farm. And that is a great improvement to the system.
Pray that they will help us to support the farmers to reduce the rate of the fertilizers and some herbicide.
Chairman Hunters from Maidulma Group, while thanking Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Zulum for providing vehicles to transport farmers to their farmlands, securing them, and also appeal to government for provision of motorcycles for effective agro-ranger policing. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture Bulama Gana says government is doing everything possible to assist farmers with their basic needs.
We'll provide pesticide agrochemicals to our farmers because of the menace of these insects yearly devastating our farms.
On limited farmlands due to security situation, government has put in place agro-rangers who are trained together with CJTFs to ensure safety of farmers. The good news is the rain is resuming gradually, rising hope once again for good harvest. From Wale in Maiduguri, Kaigama Mustafa, NTA News.
Experts have once again warned people living on floodplains not to take for granted the current water level at the confluence of rivers Niger and Benin. Instead, they should utilize it as an opportunity to relocate to higher grounds, mitigating the effects of the impending flood. Correspondent Solomon Aide reports that the Kogi State government is closely monitoring the situation.
2 weeks ago, when the NTA news crew visited Niwa Dockyard, Lokoja, the water level on the River Niger was 6.60 meters. As at time of this report, it stands at 6.40 meters, indicating a significant reduction. Nevertheless, an expert who spoke off camera described the situation as a normal pattern, particularly in the month of July, extending deep into August during the peak of the rainy season, as well as the functionality of the opening of the various dams. He warned residents along the river banks not to get carried away by the current situation at the confluence of rivers Niger and Benue, insisting that danger lies ahead. However, officials of the Kogi State government state that they are closely monitoring the situation.
That does not mean the people should not still be sensitive. We have been saying this. We have not stopped our sensitization. Our education to our communities are still ongoing. And so, by now, I expect them to start arranging on how to move gradually to higher ground. We don't know when Lagdo Dam will be open. We don't know when other dams will be open.
If NIME's 2023 rain pattern forecast and prediction of heavy flooding are anything to go by, it is pertinent for people living on the floodplains to start relocating to safer ground ahead of the impending flood to mitigate its effect. When the flood shall come, only time will tell. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehi, NTA News.
You're watching the Network News. Another break beckons. More reports when we return. Many thanks for being there. Now talking health. Gombe State is boosting health care with more than 40,000 beneficiaries under the National Basic Healthcare Provision Fund from 2021 to 2022. The commencement of enrollment for 2023 will boost the number of beneficiaries to more than 60,000 in line with the national policy and universal health coverage, and another 100,000 beneficiaries under the contributory health scheme. Emmanuel Akila reports.
Go Health is established with the sole aim of ensuring that all residents of Gombe State have access to quality healthcare services at an affordable cost.
When Governor Muhammad Ino Yahya said this at the inauguration of the Gombe State Contributory Healthcare Management Agency, Go Health, he meant business.
Justice Hussein Baba Yusuf over the demise of their colleagues, praying for the families and friends of the deceased comfort and fortitude to bear the loss of their loved ones. For stories making the headline in the sporting world, let's join Olumide Gutola on Sport Update.
Reports from the camp of Super Falcons of Nigeria at the ongoing World Cup in Australia and New Zealand indicates that the team is already working on strategies to outclass any opponent ahead of the round of 16 matches. Despite goalless outing in their third group game with Ireland, the Falcons qualified as Group B runners-up with 5 points and are scheduled to take on Group D winners, presently topped by England.
If we approach the quarterfinal game against probably the English ladies, who might just be coming back to Nigeria.
Basically, from what we saw against the Republic of Ireland, it showed that there were a little bit of complacency in their style of play. They should just keep their heads down.
Still on football, the 5th edition of Nigeria's largest grassroots football competition, tagged Prosperity Cup, came to an end with Crusader Feeders winning the trophy via penalty shootout. A total of 214 teams and over 5,000 players participated in the tournament. At the closing ceremony, Governor Duyediri promised to build 10 football pitches across the 8 local government areas of the state.
They will serve as grounds to host future governors' football tournament games.
In another development, the second edition of the American Football National Flag Tournament kicked off Monday at Akure Township Stadium, Ondo State, with 320 students from 7 states put together by the Nigerian American Football Association. The week-long Nigerian Secondary Schools Flag Football Championship seeks to grow the game in Nigeria. In another news, a Greek Nigerian professional basketball player, Giannis Adetokunbo, has urged surfers and Nigerian youth to stay away from drugs and criminalities while making efforts to achieve excellence in sports and other spheres of life.
This really motivated a lot of the kids on his visit to the island. The kids are so inspired and believing that one day they can also be like him in the world of surfing.
The basketball star was at Takobe in Lagos to identify with the Nigerian Surfing Federation. With sports update, Olumide Kutola, NTA News.
And just before we go, we do apologize for not being able to bring up our policy analyst and development expert, Niya Akinshiju, as earlier promised. This is due to some technical issues, to speak to some of the fallout of President Tinubu's address. And that concludes Network News. Many thanks for being a part of it. I am Olajide Bello.